Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike himself checking in. Just wanted to let you guys know that the episode you're going to hear this week is a re-release of one of our most popular episodes. It was episode 6, entitled Travis Got Ran Over by a Neon. Travis and I are working on some special stuff coming up for our 50th episode, and we wanted to kind of take this time to reflect and maybe take a walk down memory lane just to see where we've come from, see where we're going. So we hope you guys enjoy this episode. Maybe if you haven't heard it before, you guys will get a great laugh out of it for the first time or again. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Welcome to another episode of the Nothing in Moderation podcast, coming to you live from the multi-million-dollar Nothing in Moderation studios. Yeah. What's up, though?
Yes.
All right.
How about that, though?
How about that, though? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Nothing in Moderation. I am Mike.
And I am Travis.
Travis, look at you.
It's
over there.
It's like episode 6 now or something.
Yeah, episode 6. We're recording it the same day as episode 5. Just to pull back the curtain a little bit, let you guys see what's going on in here.
Uh-oh.
We're doing 2 in one day.
Lots of curtains in the multi-million-dollar studio next to the dumpster.
Or towels, whatever.
I mean, anything's a curtain if you hang it the right way.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, don't go down that path.
I stapled all these into the wall like a real piece of shit.
I mean, we've got the high-quality wall boards.
Yeah, we got the nicest of wall paneling from the 70s back here.
It's like being in a trailer without being in a trailer.
Yeah, it's like being in a trailer with a concrete slab. It's weird. Oh, shit. Sorry. What's going on, buddy? Anything cool?
No, just reading up on some of the memes that people were putting out there about crazy shit that's going on in the world. And by world, I mean
here.
The U.S.
Yeah. America.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I try to stay away from that shit. It makes me mad.
Well, good luck.
I know, it's hard.
Well, no, because I'm about to bring it up.
Oh, okay. No, god damn it.
So,
go ahead.
The one that I'm referencing specifically is the shooting or would-be shooting, or, I mean, at least one person was shot, or the church in Texas, where a guy who owns a company that trains people how to use firearms proficiently in self-defense and stuff like that was there as a voluntary security guard at the church, and bad guy comes in with a rifle, bad guy gets shot in the face, bad guy's no longer bad guy.
Yep. Well, he's still bad guy, he's just not a live bad guy.
Right. His impact has been minimized.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this off air, and not trying to get into the pro-gun or anti-gun debate, because it's way too easy for someone to freak out.
Oh, absolutely.
And just have some, well, you said that you didn't think you should have shot him in the face, so you hate guns, and you're going to take my guns, and blah, blah, blah. And that's not where I'm trying to go with it.
No.
It's the idea of face shoot that fucker, which I understand the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is typically a good guy with a gun, whether they're wearing a badge or not.
Yeah.
But it's still reactionary.
Yeah.
And action is always faster than reaction, which is something that just about any gun person should know.
Yeah.
And seeing people use the wrong words.
Yeah.
The best way to prevent an active shooter is to shoot him. No, because they're not an active shooter until they've started shooting.
That's the best way to stop one.
Right. Intervention is different than prevention.
Yep.
And people, it's a very important topic to people.
Yeah.
Gun rights, constitutional rights,
Absolutely.
everything. And it should be.
Yeah.
But when I talk about that kind of stuff, I try to be very careful about picking the correct word to describe something.
Yeah.
Because when people freak out, oh, well, you're saying, it doesn't prevent it, but look, it prevented him from killing more people. Okay, it prevented him from killing more people, but how do we prevent the situation starting?
Let's do a root cause analysis.
And, having worked in law enforcement, we covered very in-depth school shooting responses and how do you proficiently clear the building versus, if you're actually doing a search of a building and there's not an active shooter. And expect that you're going to have to shoot the person because the psychology behind it is it's a high score game. And, just the whole thought process of dealing with it is after Columbine, because anyone who is familiar with a Columbine shooting, if you watch it, you can see law enforcement followed the standard practice at the time, secure the scene, wait, SWAT.
Yeah.
Well, it was over and done with, and lots of people died because of that standard practice. So they started to develop the inactive shooter program, active shooter intervention program. Yeah. And that's where all the different skill sets and mentality comes from. But it's when people are dead set, pun not intended, on getting a high score, they know that the outcome is they're going to die. Yeah. I mean, at least that's all right. I'm going to try and kill as many people as possible. Eventually, someone's going to intervene, cop, citizen, whatever, and I'm going to be shot and killed. But if I can get the high score, that's what matters. My name will be in the newspaper. My name will be repeated. My name will be on TV. Yeah. But how do we have to dig in more to figure out how can we prevent that kind of shit from happening? Yeah. Because I hate the response of, oh, it's just the cost of doing business. You're going to have to deal with it. So what? And that's not the mentality that has made anyone or anything great. Yeah. Tough shit, deal with it. Listen, I'm not saying I want your guns. I'm not saying you have to give them away. I'm not saying I want to take them. I'm saying let's at least have...
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's have a conversation about how can we prevent additional incidences. Yeah.
All right, and we are back. We had a small...
turtle emergency.
Small turtle emergency here in the studio. So... what were we talking about? I zoned out and forgot.
You were explaining that you were justifying whatever is about to come out of your face by saying I own guns and have a concealed weapons permit, but
I've always thought it was weird that we can't just have a conversation. Like, let's talk about it, and not in an argumentative way. Like, let's have a legitimate conversation. Let's, I don't think anybody has no single answer is going to be correct. It's going to probably be a combination of multiple different answers working together to create one big answer for the whole problem.
Yeah, and unfortunately there's, with everybody having so much access to everything all the time, and people who have intentions other than moving anything forward, and I'm not going to name any of the particular media outlets or ridiculous websites that people post, I don't know, Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich with one bite cures gay man. Yeah. When I see that same company is where people are posting these very, far right thought processes, I'm like, come on, guys. Yeah. They think the chicken sandwich cured gay.
Yeah. It happened.
But, there's entities that want to stir shit, so they're going to make the most outlandish, ridiculous claims and blah, 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 so that the people who want to feel a certain kind of way get up in arms about it. And we're seeing that more and more and more, like with, there's people who are very adversarial against the current president, people who are very adversarial against anybody who would be against the president. Yeah. And it's being amplified by, propaganda machines, so to speak, whether it's, at home or from abroad or anything like that. And if you want to trust the U.S. intelligence services, they all seem to be in pretty good agreement that there is that intention to sow discord in the United States from our country's adversaries, because they stand to benefit from it. And the gun debate is one that people are so passionate about that it's easy to get people worked up by saying anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Like as a for instance, the idea that if I sell you a gun as a person-to-person sale, requiring me to do a background check to release me of liability if you're a felon, you know what I mean, or something of the sorts, or there being a database that I sold the gun to this person on this date, I no longer have it, that way it's not coming to me for anything. Yeah. People will scream, oh, that's a violation of the Second Amendment, but it doesn't say that in the Second Amendment. You're still allowed to own the gun. Yeah. But as soon as you say anything that could possibly, oh, it's a slippery slope. Okay. Yeah. I can at least understand that argument. If you register them, they'll come and take them. I don't necessarily think that that's the way it is, but, we can hypothetical things all day.
Yeah. So, on a completely related yet unrelated topic,
it's about mass shooting.
Travis and I play Red Dead Redemption with a couple of friends. And currently, if you are familiar with the game, there is a glitch in the game where you can basically enter into a building that is not... that you can't just walk through the door of. Like, you glitch into this building, but once you're in the building, you can shoot anybody outside of the building, and they cannot shoot you. So basically, they can't shoot through the wall, but you can see through the wall from the inside to kill them. And so for the past couple of days, we've spent hours, and I know Travis and our buddy Mike have been on a lot longer than I have. What were you guys on for 4 or 5 hours yesterday total?
Yeah,
I was only on for 1 or 2, but like just in the house, just shooting people, pissing them off. And Mike got a message from some guy that said, "Talk about a pussy bitch," and then Mike just said, "Come get some," and that shit makes me laugh because the "come get some" idea is. Like, it's funny because there's nothing they can do. Like, you can come get something what you want, but you're not actually going to do anything.
Just get your face shot off some more.
Pretty much, yeah.
I guess that's where it's relevant.
Yeah. It's good times. We'll eventually we'll give you guys our usernames for that, so you can check us out. I know Snoop plays Madden with like random people.
Does he?
Yeah, like he's got videos of him like whooping people's ass in Madden and like them quitting in the middle of the game and him talking shit to him the whole time.
That's funny.
Yeah, Snoop's real good at Madden. So
that is a game I have never been any good at.
No, I've never been. I've always been fucking terrible at Madden. I'm terrible at pretty much every video game. Like
That's true.
I am proficient enough to where I'm not a complete and total liability, but I'm still a partial liability in most games. So except card games, I'm all right at card games. Car, like Forza or Gran Turismo or whatever.
I haven't played one of those since 2 systems ago, two system generations ago.
I played Forza for a long time, and really because most of the Horizon ones are the like open world.
Okay.
Like not the strict
like Grand Theft Auto without stealing cars.
Yeah, pretty much. But I just go in there and I just buy like a Supra and I put a set of bigs and littles on it and I make 15 or 1600 horsepower, whatever the max is in the game. And then I just take it out to the airstrip and fucking drag race people all day. Or not all day, but, for, however long until I get bored. And it just, that's the, but I got rid of my Xbox because, PlayStation's just a better console overall.
Uh-oh.
Fight me. I don't care.
Internet fight.
Let's go. I have standards. It's the same reason I use Apple products and have an iPhone. Like I just, I don't.
Ew.
If your text bubble pops up green, I typically don't even want to respond. Like I think less of you as a person for not having an iPhone.
We have a buddy that feels that way about women. If she shows up with a green text bubble, you just say ew and you move on.
Yeah. I was like, wait, where are you going with this?
In very specifically in a dating reference, it's not.
Yeah.
Because he hates women.
No. I could see that. Like if I could. Seeing when I was dating, there wasn't green and blue text bubbles. It was all just blue. Like it was, because Apple hadn't differentiated yet. So I didn't get that. But I probably would have been that way though if I were in the dating pool and had the ability to be like, ugh, green, sorry.
Yeah.
I
haven't had to think about anything like that in 6 years.
Yeah, me neither. We've been in relationships about the same amount of time. So.
Yeah, were you and Jen together when I came back from Alaska?
Yeah, because I lived at the house while you were gone, I think.
Oh, sounds right.
Yeah, because I was the only one paying rent that lived there.
Sounds about right.
Which is a vast difference from the first time I lived there.
Yeah, to where I was the only one paying rent.
Yeah, well, hey, sometimes it'd be like that. It don't always be like that, but sometimes it do.
It happens. We made it this far, surprisingly.
We did. I didn't realize you had never told Mike and them about the night I shit my pants and ran you over with the car.
Oh,
we were talking about that while we were playing Red Dead yesterday, and they hadn't heard the story for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Travis and I, we met through like car audio, a group of friends.
Christian Mingle.
Yeah, Christian Mingle. Farmer's daughter, something like that. Who's the farmer? Who's the daughter?
Right.
But we both kind of got into cars and racing and things like that. Kind of, I guess you were there before I was, but I eventually got into it, and we went to a car meet on like a Tuesday night at the Buffalo Wild Wings out by UCF, and Buffalo Wild Wings typically gives me the bubble guts. But Tuesday night's also like all you can eat wings, so I'd go in and eat fucking 37 pounds of garlic parm wings. And then,
which is guaranteed to make for a hasty exit.
Yeah. So we lived in Deltona at the time, and so it's hour and 15 minutes from UCF to Deltona. And I remember we got off the 417 and something didn't feel right. So I cut through the backside of Sanford and out to 415 or whatever. It's like this big 2-lane country road. Like there's nothing out there. And just as we passed the last gas station, I was like, I should probably stop there. But I was like, well, we're close enough to the house. I'm just gonna let it ride. And we get almost to the house, and I turn down the street before ours, and it's very poorly maintained, and there are dips and bumps. And we hit a couple of dips and bumps, and I'm fucking laughing because I'm clenched in my seat. So I am like pushed. I pushed my ass up off the seat to clench my cheeks tighter so that nothing squeaks out. And hitting a couple of bumps made me unclench my cheeks, and I pooped a little. And
Whoops.
then, so we pull up in the driveway, and the driveway's on a pretty drastic grade for a driveway, I think. And Travis hops out of the car while I'm still lunging forward a little bit.
Come on, that's not what happened. I jumped out of the car to go open the door for you, so you could.
There. The car was still moving forward a little bit when you got out.
I thought it's when you went to turn it off and let out of the clutch when you bumped me.
But you got out and you ran behind the car, and then didn't you ran behind it? You had to run behind it because I hit you.
Fuck it, I don't remember. Keep going.
I rolled into you. So he jumps out, runs behind the car. And between the time he got out and the time he got around the back of the car, I had shut the car off and left it in neutral and didn't set the emergency brake. And the car rolled back and hit Travis, which made me laugh even harder. And I pooped a little more and then had to go inside and throw my underwear away.
It's cool.
That's not the first time I've pooped my pants in the car, but it's the only time we're going to talk about today. So, because
you got to save some stories for later.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could probably have a story for at least an episode a month of me shitting my pants as an adult. So I don't have the greatest resume with not shitting myself.
It's happened to me before.
It's one of those things.
A very less than ideal scenario.
I don't don't trust adults who in their adult life haven't shit themselves. Like you can't be that, like your life can't be that together. You can't have everything going on like that. It's just not possible.
Ashley claims she's never done it as an adult.
Bullshit. Maybe.
I tried to have the conversation with her about how much money would somebody have to pay her for her to do it.
Ugh.
And I know your answer is whatever a new set of pants costs.
Yeah, not even that really.
But
really need can you give me a new pair of underwear from Goodwill?
Right. No, just throw them in the trash can at the gas station. Oh, God.
Done that before. What the fuck are you doing?
Fighting springs over.
All right.
But
we got to get some quieter mic stands.
She said she doesn't think that there's a dollars and cents amount, and I said that's ludicrous.
That is ludicrous.
I think we're having another turtle emergency.
Damn turtle emergencies. There's no pipes in the roof. Like, it's not...
In our multi-million-dollar studio next to the dumpster?
Man, this is... Listen, we gotta come up with some better studio stuff here. Shit's out of control. Whatever, shit happens.
Right. Back to the shit comment.
It's about the content, not the way the content sounds, right?
Sure.
Right. Yeah, that's not true.
That's why I like Young Thug or Slim Thug or whoever's the mumble.
That would be Young Thug. Don't ever do that to Slim Thug. Ever.
Is Slim Thug one of the Paul Wall buddies?
Yes, he's from Texas. Young Thug is, I think he's from Louisiana.
The mumbler?
Shit. Yeah, he's not really a mumbler. It's hit or miss. Some of his stuff is like that. Some of it isn't.
Who's the one that did the song probably 5 years ago about clouds? And
I don't know.
I wish I could find it.
Because it could have been like Wiz Khalifa.
It was. I feel like it was one of the thugs, and there was a bunch of mumbling in the song. Well, I'll put it to you this way: Matty Cakes. I had played that song for him, and he wrote me like a week later, and he goes, "Hey man, what was the name of that song that you played for me with a mentally handicapped singer?" I was like, "What?" He goes, "The one that's got like the retarded guy in it." I was like, "What?" And which, by the way, are words not appropriate.
Yeah.
So I sent him the link to that same video. He goes, "Yeah, that guy's not mentally handicapped." I'm like, "No, that's intentional." He's like, "Oh, that's not funny now."
Sweet Jesus. I guess I think the mumble thing for me, it depends on what it is, because There is some of it that I like. There are some of it that I don't like, and I think it depends on like what the artist has to offer and other, because some of them don't just exclusively do that. You know, they may use that particular cadence or whatever for a song, and then they have other stuff that's not like that. So I try not to base it off of one song. You know, like there's guys like I'll hear a song the first time and I'm like, man, that's really fucking terrible, and then I'll hear a song a couple days later that's not that song, it's better, and I'm like, all right, well, this is all right.
Lifestyles.
Is that the rapper or the name of the song?
No, it's the name of the song.
Who sings it?
It is. Maybe that's not it. Rich Gang featuring Young Thug, Rich Homie Quan.
Oh, okay, well, that's 3 different people.
I understand.
Young Thug, though, is who you were talking about, but Rich Homie Quan might be his sound seems more to me like somebody could mistake it for mental issues. So
it's got almost half a billion half a billion views.
It's probably a pretty popular song. We can't play it because we'll get sued.
So. Hey, maybe that's how we can get the name out.
Yeah, maybe. I wonder if that works for anybody. Probably not.
No publicity is bad publicity.
I don't know about all that. So.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, there's a local shop to us that they had a car that they had worked on, and it has gone very fast now. But in the early stages, the car was involved in like a Street Outlaws episode.
Is that the green one?
Yeah. Where he's like talking trash, and then so initially it reflected poorly. Yeah. But eventually everybody gets over that shit and they remember the name. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's...
Well, and for the market, there, you know what's weird is when it comes to Street Outlaws, I know I've told you this before, but they had a podcast. And if you are at all interested in Street Outlaws at all, I implore you to search, because they took it all down because Discovery Channel made them. But there are still ways to find all of the episodes to their podcast. And it is quite literally one of the most amazing podcasts I've ever listened to.
Really?
Yeah, like they're super fucking funny. They are, when it gets down to it, like it literally, like Chief and Sean sitting around, like, and that's Big Chief and Murder Nova, them sitting around bullshitting is very similar to like you and I sitting around bullshitting. The things they say. They have an entire episode where they talk about, like, I guess Murder Nova he has a son, but he wanted a daughter. And they have like a 45-minute long episode about how he wants to like adopt a daughter and like, but they like formed it into like a kidnapping type. Like it's fucking hysterical. It's actually one of the episodes that got them in trouble with Discovery. And
really,
but they also, there was one entire episode where they were making fun of no prep racing, because although they do it now because money wise they have to, they absolutely, both of them hate no prep racing. They think it's the dumbest shit in the world. But so they did like this mock like no prep wheel of death where like you have to spin it, it's like track oil down or door flies off or like it just all, and they may have like shirts made and shit that they sold like through their website about fucking, and so like it just, but it literally like the conversations they'd have, like their studio, they called it the Meth Shack, which is what I would love to call this one, but since they already did it, I don't want it to seem like I'm biting off of them. But like it just, like if you can find those episodes, they are great. They talk about the show, and like most of those guys have been friends for a long time, but they're not like buddy like the show may have you seen. Some of them are,
right?
Except for like Chief and Sean, like they're both, you know, really good friends. But like it's, you know, they had Jeff Lutz in on a couple shows, who is fucking hysterical, and Jeff Lutz is still real big from his like drag week stuff. You know, 'cause he had the black Bel Air that went like 6s and made the whole, you know, did the whole trek at Drag Week and averaged like something in the 6s every time.
That's crazy.
For the whole thing. You know, but they've had you know, just some of the guys from the show, and they're super fucking hysterical. But I forgot where I was going with this, but it's one of those things, like if you can find it out, check it out. I think I have them. I can send them to you if you want to check them out.
Sure.
I have them saved. So, because there's only one missing episode that they originally had to take down the first time they got in trouble, and it's because they were making fun of Monza, like called it Manza and shit.
I don't understand why that's
his
terrible.
wife got offended, and
Oh,
it
geez.
caused a big problem. So they made fun of him a little harder than that.
What a snowflake.
Yeah, pretty much. But they have another episode with him where he talks about his truck getting broken into. Monza does, and like they were like, what did he steal? He's like, they stole my tackle box. He's like, what was in your tackle box? He's like some Skittles and some beef jerky. Like, what the fuck? He's like, it's what I eat when I'm out fishing. And like they were like, so all he got he's like, there was no tackle or anything. He's like, nope, just Skittles and beef jerky, nothing else. That's an odd thing to just carry around with you.
Just to have it's your lunchbox, but it's a tackle box.
Yeah. But yeah, I got nothing, man. That's weird.
That is an odd thing to have in the tackle box with no tackle.
Yeah.
It'd be even funnier filling out the police report.
Yeah, definitely.
Estimated value $389.
$3.99. It was Jack Link's.
Ugh.
Well, goddamn. Hey, look at that.
You're just on fire over there.
Hell yeah, I sold some fucking shit on the eBays.
People still use eBay?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually sold I've got the new AirPods from my wife for Christmas, and I sold my old AirPods. I split them up as an individual, like, I sold the left AirPod on its own, the right AirPod on its own, and the charging case on its own, and combined I sold all three for over $100. And a new pair of AirPods is like $150 or something for like the basic ones, or like $129 or some shit like that. Like I made almost all of my money back on year and a half old AirPods. So
Witchcraft
maybe, yeah. I'm
not a big in-ear
earphone
person.
We have over the ears for this the podcast gimmick here, and my ears are fucking sweating and on fire right now. I'm so uncomfortable.
Well, I agree with that. We also, bought cheapies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I spent like $14.
See, my gaming headset is better than these.
That's
but
true. I spent way more on my gaming headset than I did on these. We should have just
$300 headphones.
Oh god, I hate those fucking people on the internet on games.
I just every Apple
Yeah.
earpod that I'd ever used,
Yeah.
which I haven't tried all the new stuff with the no wires and stuff. They're uncomfortable in my ears.
Yeah.
And they were made of hard plastic, so you just dealt with it.
Yeah. Well, the pros have they have soft tips on them, but they're still like the plastic that sits kind of at the edge of your ear. I think they're more comfortable. And like the noise cancellation is ridiculous. Like you could be sitting the distance we are from each other, which is what, a foot, if that. Yeah. Like, and you could be talking, and if I had them in with the noise cancellation on, I could see your lips moving. I wouldn't be able to hear a fucking thing you're saying.
I know the running gag is Apple comes out with all their stuff much later than everybody else did. Because I know the noise cancellation on the headphones has been a thing for
years.
Yeah,
absolutely years.
And Mark Rober, I don't know if you watch any of the YouTubes. He's a former JPL or NASA engineer. He's involved in the rover and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he does like one video a month essentially, and it's all engineering stuff. And he's super easy to listen to, and he explains things and just very personable.
Yeah,
and he had been using, I guess, like I said, a Bose.
Yeah.
Noise canceling headphones, and he tries to show, he's like, I can't really tell you how the noise canceling, how effective it is, but let me try.
Yeah.
And he ran the leaf blower while he was talking, and you'll hear overwhelming stuff. And he goes, now I'm going to run the leaf blower while wearing my headset, while wearing the earphones.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a call, and you can hear it from my phone.
Yeah. And
you can barely even, like, the leaf blower's next to him, and you can barely hear it on the other end of the phone.
Yep. The what's weird is like that's always been the big thing with Apple, and it's like they'll be like, oh yeah, but we had NFC, two Samsung phones ago. Who the fuck uses NFC?
No, but it's
But like that was always it's shit like that. It's like, but when Apple does like things that stick around, usually when Apple puts it into their phone, it's already had a lot of the bugs worked out by all the other bullshit, and it just generally works better. So I'm okay with it. I would rather be a couple years behind in technology and have shit that works the way it should instead of being somebody else's fucking experiment.
There's an automotive company that does that too.
Ford?
Subaru.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Most of the time, I know where you're going with it, but most of the time, the technology that's available in other models first, by the time it makes it to Subaru, it actually works correctly.
Absolutely.
So
except the ringlands.
I mean, mine had seen as much as 30 pounds of boost, and it didn't come apart.
We're not even sure that boost gauge was accurate. I was the one that installed it, so I'm not making any promises.
It didn't read vacuum.
That's not my fault.
Gauge is busted.
Yeah, fuck that gauge. I remember where we were going before when I got on the Street Outlaws thing. We were talking about the local shop that got all the bad publicity initially. The other thing is like the guys that 90% of people that watch Street Outlaws have never street raced or even been to like the track with their own car a day in their life. Like they think the idea of it's cool, but,
right.
But they're not into it like that. The 10% of guys that are watching understand that the Super went out there and probably knew it was not going to win from the get-go, or was going to have to rely on like something spinning or something drastic happening to win the race.
Watching the episode, it didn't feel like the guy, and because I can't remember how young or old he was or anything, but
I think he's our age-ish.
Okay, I was going to say the kid, because I even called people 20 years older than me the kids, but it didn't feel like it was a person who had spent a lot of time street racing.
Probably not. That's more of a track
having a conversation, and that's good for him for keeping it safe and everything like that. And it's also a television show, and it's produced. Mm-hmm. They may have had the conversation 15 times before they got it the way the producers wanted. But that's where my hesitation on the show even comes from. It's like everything that Discovery or History or whatever, Orange County Choppers and all that stuff. The first couple seasons, it's kind of fun because it feels raw.
They're learning,
right? And then all right, well, now everybody has to wear a specific shirt, and you're going to be positioned, and we're going to do product placement, and we're going
to... Well, and a lot of those guys the product placement is their own. They're legitimately sponsored by that company. But the other thing that from listening to the podcast with those guys is they would tell producers, like when they were sitting down to do like the race recaps, because they do those in post or whatever, they were like, well, they'd be like, oh, well, can you say what you said, but say it like this. And I'm like, no, that's what happened. That's how I'm saying it. Like, so they would push back a little bit. So while yes, there was not all of the guys were like that. There were a few of the guys on that show or that are on the show that when the producers want them to say it a specific way, so it spins it a certain way, they're just like, no, that's not. I see what you're trying to do, and that's not what's going to happen. Which I think is cool. But there are guys on there that are like, "Oh, yes, sir, I'll spin it like that for you right now."
Right.
So you get it. It's a mix.
Well, and when the show came out, it was cool to see. Yes, it's a safe area. It's blocked off. Mm-hmm. They have medical available. Yeah. I didn't for an instant believe this was all illegal stuff. Not on the show. Yeah. But as fast as the cars are, to watch them make a pass at all on a street, even though it's prepped, but it's still on a street, is really neat. Yeah, I clearly know from having done that for years, never that fast, obviously. I can't imagine trying to pilot something that fast on the street.
Those guys most of those cars, especially now, are like nearing 3,000 horsepower. Yeah, if not over.
When it first started, the hatchback Mustang that was the older guy gave to his kid.
Not Bodie, Varley.
Yeah. He's like, bottom half of the list or whatever, small tire car.
Yep.
We have a buddy that actually raced him like back in the 90s on the street. And back then, I think it was like a deep 9-second or a high 8-second pass on the street.
Yeah, it's fast.
And I mean, that's phenomenally fast. Yeah. I mean,
especially on the street.
Yeah. I mean, but it's the great equalizer. And that's, again, not that we were ever that fast. Mm-hmm. Well, I was never that fast. Some of the guys that we hung out with were.
Yeah. Well, that fast?
Deep 9s, high 8s.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like several thousand horsepower.
No.
I was like, wait.
The car that made that pass against Varley ended up being about 1,000 horsepower after it was all said and done on the kit. 1,000 or 1,100, but it also only weighed like 2,500 pounds with pilot. Yeah. But no, whenever we went out, we didn't prep the street. Mm-hmm. You're not pouring the sticky stuff down. You're not setting it on fire. I mean, there were guys that we raced that insisted that they could do that. Yeah. And, fine if that's what you want to do, but we're not trying to go somewhere and spend 30 minutes prepping the road to make a 10-second pass. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, I'll set my suspension up. I'll come out here when it's not a race night. Mm-hmm. And I'll make a bunch of test hits to see what works. Yeah. And I'll write down all my settings so that when I go out to the road, I dial it to 0 and then know how much to go either way.
Well, and there's two lines of thinking there. There's you who races on that road every weekend who knows where it is and has access to it. And then there's the guy that you're bringing in from out of town that doesn't have a fucking clue where that road is. And, so they're trying to, by prepping the road, so to speak, they're trying to gain back some of that.
Absolutely.
So I understand it. But I also know that, like, the road they race on, while it's the same one, and they've done some, they pour their juice, whatever.
The VHT
or whatever they're using now. But also, like, I know that from, being in Orlando and them using the same fucking spots every weekend, you can drive past that spot in Orlando, the main spot they use, and it doesn't look much different than the street does on the TV. You can actually look at it on Google Maps.
Oh, and it's all blacked
and
out.
It's all blacked out. Like, you can tell specifically what goes on there. And it looks a lot like the one on TV, just because they've been racing at that spot in Orlando since I was a fucking kid.
Are you talking about
33rd?
Yeah. You know what sucks about that spot is it's not enough area.
No, not at all. It's super sketchy for some of the cars they've had out there. I've seen cars that trap nearly 200 miles an hour out there making passes and should not have been.
Yeah, I can't believe they could stop, because where the 1320 mark is really about 1,100 feet out from the start, and then you have like almost no shutdown.
Yeah, it's sketchy out there. I've seen some sketchy shit go on out there, because, like I said, I've been out there since I was a kid. Like, it's just they've just been racing there that long. Like, the businesses that are around there, like, they use their lunch breaks to come out and watch that shit on Saturday nights. Like, those guys love that shit.
I was just actually out there today.
Yeah. So that there's some different perspectives on that.
Yeah, I mean, we also, from being in the area for so long, you know certain people, certain vehicles, certain habits. Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever actually been out in Daytona with the Daytona locals running the game on out-of-towners.
Like out on 40 or whatever? Or?
I mean, yeah, there's the one that's further north and stuff, but just there's generally, if you're going to race against the Daytona guys, there's like three different...
Daytona. I've never been out with that Daytona group.
Okay. So. There's like 3 spots that they'll pick from. So if you go out enough, you get to see it. You can make your own, test its and stuff like that. But they're trying to hustle the guys from out of town, which happens at Turkey Rod Run and stuff like that. But knowing those guys, because we grew up in the same county, and hey, we're headed up to Jacksonville to go collect some kids' money, who think they have fast cars. Do you guys want to come with us, see if you can get some side action or get any action at all? We know the habits. It's like, all right, well, I know how long this flag man takes to turn the light on or to drop his hands, or so you get in the rhythm with a lot of that stuff if you do it a lot. And obviously it's an us versus them. If it's the Orange City guys and the Daytona guys, we want to collect the money from the Daytona guys. Absolutely. If it's, us from Orange City and Daytona going to Orlando, we want to hustle the Orlando guys. And it always goes that way. And there's, some camaraderie, but there's also fist fights throughout history.
All right. I've only been out with the Orange City guys once, and that was the night that Manny came out.
Oh, jeez.
And raced one of the
Grand National Todd.
In
his Nova.
And they ran that. That was the night the guy lost his T-top too in the ditch.
No, that was a separate night.
Was it? Then I've been out there more than once.
Because the night the guy lost the T-top in the ditch was out on out where the horse parking is.
Yeah, that was
when a bunch of like the fuel slug guys, Orlando guys came out.
Okay.
Because I think even Paul was out there at that point in time.
He may have been. I don't know.
And then when Manny raced, it was over. I'm trying to tell you where it was without giving you too much giving too much out.
Yeah.
If you take 15A until it ends, so out at 11.
Yep.
So
okay, I know what you're talking about.
So that's where the Manny with the Evo came out on race gas, set to kill.
Oh yeah. And I was on 40 pounds of boost
and bogged off like the car. He said the car shut off. I'd have to look at the video again. But
no, he doesn't know how to drive it, as referenced by a lot of other incidences with Manny.
But that was a fun night.
Yeah.
Because then after the way we do it, the light, you have a flashlight as the flag guy. Mm-hmm. Light you both flick your headlights when you're ready. Yep. Light goes out. Yep. When the light comes on, you go. Mm-hmm. If you chase, it's a race.
Yep.
If someone leaves early and you don't chase, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, the light comes on, the Evo dumps the clutch, the Nova drives away, and the Evo just stops at like 60 feet.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh man, well now we don't even know whose car is faster and this and that. You know,
we're aware.
The excuse-o-meter came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, seen it 1,000 times.
It's on page 375 of the excuse book.
And they had, they had a money bet, you know, so now it's like, oh, well, you know, we don't even know whose car is faster. We didn't both get to make a pass. And, you know, Grand National Todd being the kind-hearted person he is, he's like, we can run it again. He's like, I'm not telling you. I'm like, you lost your bet.
Yeah,
you lost your money. But if you want to run it again just to see how fast it is, that's fine. And they make the pass. And as always, the Nova wins by a fender.
Yeah.
And then Manny realizes his car was not as fast as the Nova.
Yeah. He's realized that a lot.
I love that Nova.
Yeah.
That was a cool car. Did you ever get to ride in that?
No, never got to ride in it. I saw it a bunch, but never got to ride in it.
It definitely delivers power different than you'd expect.
I'm sure. I know he brought the Camaro he bought by at one point.
So
I think other Todd's brother bought that, didn't he?
Yeah. So the red Camaro was a 67.
Yeah.
And it was tubbed, real suspension, you know, high quality race car type stuff. Yeah. It was not even a drastic big block, like factory GM parts, but better, you know, higher compressor, big lumpy cam. And that was Rob's.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Rob.
Vaguely.
And we could hear his car from like 2 blocks away idling at the light. It was always great. He sold the car to Grand National Todd. And Grand National Todd got a good deal on it. It had been sitting for a while. Grand National Todd went in another direction with business and stuff and sold it to other Capri Todd's brother. Yeah. And then they put like a real badass engine in it and took it to Drag Week.
No, yeah. Oh, that's right. They did take that one to Drag Week. I forgot about that.
So, and now I think the black Corvette.
The blue one?
Russ's car?
Yeah, the one they bought from Russ.
Yeah. So that was Todd and his brothers at one point, and now that's, I think, Grand National Todd has that.
Oh, okay. That was a sweet car. Once they got all the kinks worked out of it.
Yep.
So, it's good stuff. A little walk down memory lane. That was cute.
Stuff changes hands.
Yeah.
You weren't in Jacksonville with us, right?
No, I seriously only hung out with the Orange City guys like once at, you know, any sort of an event.
You never went out when I made a pass or anything? Oh, no, I guess that would have been before your time.
Before me, yeah. The Civic was before me. So
there was when we made the trip to Jacksonville, there was a bunch of trash talking online. Yeah. You know, they had their own web forum or whatever. But so the lead ridiculous person, you know, was talking the hardest trash. I was like, I'll be up there. Yeah. Oh, what are you talking about? I'm like, you guys hang out on Saturdays. I'll be in the parking lot or Fridays or whatever it was. Yeah. I was like, so come bring that turd box out and get it pushed in. Yeah. And he never showed up, but his buddies did. Yeah. And there was some pretty basic, you know, parking lot stuff. Yeah. It was when I finally got the best friend of the guy who had been talking trash to make a pass. I pedaled him, you know, beat him by like a fender. Yeah. And the only time I'd ever heard any of the older guys say this, they're like, we're not here to do that. Yeah. They're like, put it on him and make him understand what's going on. Yeah. So I make a full tilt pass on the gas. Yeah. And I mean, you could have landed a plane between the two cars type deal. And he's like, oh. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. And I think he had a Nova.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. He was trying to, then the excuse was, well, I'm trying to set it up more for road racing.
Yeah, of course. They always are. That's what I would too, sir. That's probably a good idea for you.
Was that decision made just now?
Just now. It was actually about a minute ago. I made that decision as I was coming back here to pay up.
Man, I can't believe it would have been pretty cool if you'd been around.
Yeah, well, see, and my thing was like, because I was in the Orlando area, so we'd go. I would go 5-6 nights a week because there's always something going on in Orlando. It's always different groups. It's never the same group. But at one point on the Tuesday night meet, I would walk around the parking lot with a megaphone,
yelling at people,
just talking shit to people. So the did not go over well most of the time. It was not well liked, but that's pretty common.
We did that. We made the trip down there. I think there were like we brought 3 cars or whatever. Yeah, and did the parade lap as soon as you pull in while everything's rumbling, and then park them. It's when the wagon was out. Yeah, and it was deemed squirrel speak because the younger guys that were more about hard barking were deemed squirrels by the older guys because you know you run around frantically and don't know what you're doing. And they're like, all right, Einstein, you know squirrel speak. You go find something for us to race. And if you can get get a money bet set up,
Yeah.
go ahead. And this is at the time frame where like nobody in the area was consistently on the street making, 970s passes.
Yeah.
Or the Nova went 1050 at like 130 something.
Yeah.
With a 2060 foot time. So he left easy, like he's going to the grocery store, and that was quote unquote on everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast the wagon was.
Yeah.
I think we brought a Grand National. I think Brooke was there. And I just went around and asked every single person, hey man, you want to race? And if it wasn't yes or no, I just moved on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I met the big guy with the DSM. He's got to be like 6'5".
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name. Mike would know him.
Yeah, but seemed to be a
Steve,
nice.
I want to say.
I don't know.
I think it was Steve.
But I just used the descriptor of how large the man is, and he drove it. He had long hair,
I think his name
DSM.
was Steve. Mike would know for sure though.
But I think it was a front wheel drive car.
Probably.
And hey man, you want to run? Oh, well, I don't have my drag race tires on. Okay, do you have tires? Yeah. Where are they? My house. You want help putting them on? What? And so all this goes down.
Yeah.
We obviously don't get any action. It's a 45-mile drive one way or whatever. So then you hop on the internets before social media. It was all web forums, and people were talking shit about like, oh, you guys showed up with race cars, and I was like, we drove 45 miles in race cars.
Yeah. You did.
And
to be fair, you did.
yeah.
So
I mean, I would.
yeah.
But someone even made the comment, oh man, you didn't say you wanted to race. And I was like, aren't you the dude that's like 6'5" with a ponytail that I offered to help you put your tires on?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I thought I was even wearing a shirt with because Einstein was my nickname. I had a shirt with Einstein on it.
Yeah.
And he said I must have been subtle or something. And some other guy chimed in. And he's like, yes, subtle's definitely the word to describe Einstein.
Yeah, that's probably the second word I would use to describe you.
Right.
Is subtle. No, not the first.
Gentle.
The first is gentle, yes. Yes. So, would you fucking quit kicking that?
No.
So
I will kick it when it gives up.
Off topic or a new topic. So we were both big on forums, and forums were at one point like
I mean, you just went by bigness.
Yeah. Bigness was usually it was either Mike Troll, and then I graduated to bigness when I didn't want people to realize that I was just there to fuck with them. But the Facebook killed forums.
It did.
Like they're the only forums that I've even been on recently that are active still is one is called Archery Talk, and it's for archers, obviously based on the name, but it's like most guys that are into archery are a little bit older, don't really do the Facebook thing,
right? And
like they just they buy and sell, and they talk about archery, and like it's super active. There's like 200 or 300 new posts every day on Archery Talk. But like they actually mail each other letters. Yeah. Well, my father-in-law, when he buys stuff on Archery Talk, a lot of times he still pays with money orders, like because he doesn't have PayPal. And multiple times I've been like, listen, man, just let us know and we'll send the PayPal for him. Like it's okay. But he's mailed off recently has mailed off money orders to buy things from these guys, but they're all older guys and they're not, I guess. And they will. I mean, there's no protection, but they also these guys are like archers, so when the guys do, like, these are like real men, like will figure out where you live and fuck with you type of shit. There will be a volley of arrows. Yeah, like there is not fight in the shade. Yeah, like they're pretty quick to dismantle and get rid of anybody that's there to screw people over. So yeah, I know the car community has for the most part migrated to the Facebook, which is annoying. It is, because there's no good way to sort anything. It's all just bullshit. You just got to hope you find what's most recent or what Facebook wants you to see. Yeah, or you have a group that's got like 100,000 members in it and it's a mess. Oh yeah, but one of the Ford, the F-150 groups I'm in is like that. It's like F-150 Nation. There's like 50,000 people and you can't fucking keep track of anything. GT500 guys. Oh, God. They still use like SVT Performance. Yeah, I figured that one. And like Superforms is probably still pretty active. Maybe. So I think it is. I'm not 100% on that, but I do believe it is. I've seen people share like I feel articles. Like the Corvette form might be too. Unfortunately, yes, but it's not with the people you want it to be active with. It's active with GT500 owners. Yeah, basically with the Jorts and New Balances Corvette owners. Obviously we can't lump
the whole of a group into a category, or I mean, you can, but it's usually not accurate. But the GT500 thing, I used to laugh because I used to deal with those guys a lot. And, you know, I understand you're proud of your purchase. It's got a story. But it's interesting when it seems to be consistent. You're talking to, so BJ. I'm still friends with BJ. We used to laugh because BJ would get on the phone and he'd be talking to people about their car. And inevitably, there was like 4 sentences you knew he was going to say talking about his own car. Yeah, I've got an 07 GT500. Her name's Christine. She's a bad bitch. She makes a bunch of blah, 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 blah power. And it was like clockwork. And we giggled about it. I don't know that he knows he does it, or if he does know he does it, because he's typically pretty well aware of what he's doing. He's been in radio and stuff for 30 years. But it's funny. I just saw a post on one of the groups from a GT500 owner that literally was like a copy-paste paragraph that didn't even pertain to what was being said, but he was telling his story of his car and how he bought it and how he financed it. And it was just like, okay, I guess these guys just kind of do that. Everyone's got a story, and we're going to tell them all. And
you know what's weird, and I kind of wanted to get on this subject anyway, so it's cool that you brought it up. I've been looking lately at purchasing a transit van or a Sprinter to turn into a camper of some sort. I think the ultimate goal that the wife and I have talked about is potentially like trying to live somewhat full time out of it. I'm not really sure how far we want to go with it, but I follow, a bunch of, van pages now of people companies that build vans, or people that have built vans and are traveling in them or whatever. And all of them, every last fucking one of them, have named their van and have a YouTube video that explains why they built their van, how much it cost them.
Really?
Like, it's all like, they're all just the same in that regard.
That's interesting.
So, but because I think it's a special type of person that can live like that.
Yeah.
And there are people that full-time live out of their vans, and they have, remote jobs, or I've read some articles about some people that, they buy shit to sell on Amazon, so they never touch anything, and they're, they just picked the right niche item and just happen to be, making 6 figures every year to travel around the country and never have to touch anything. And I think those stories aren't common. There are far more people who purchase a van that they can't afford and or is too old for them to maintain effectively and don't really plan it out or think about it. Based on the van
down by the river.
Yeah, basically. Based on the posts I see in the van group, it's like 80% people who did not think this shit out and just jumped and went. And then 20%
the American way.
And then 20% who really thought I want to be in the 20%. The only thing I know for sure is that I want a transit van, and I want I know the specific model I want based on how tall it is on the inside and how tall I am.
Right.
And I want, something still short enough to drive. So, I've got that figured out. Other than that, I got nothing figured out because I'm not putting this shit together. I'm not leaving tomorrow.
Right. You have time.
I have time, and there's a lot of shit to figure out.
You were telling me the other day, part of your plan for development of this, which by the way, I'm going to use the word proud.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That having known you as long as I have, it isn't just an impulse thing you're doing anymore. You're actually planning stuff out.
Yeah.
You're going to rent a couple RVs or Winnebagos or whatever it is so that you can see how much you do or don't use stuff, because you were debating whether or not the transit van needs a dedicated bathroom.
Yeah. Bathroom, shower, things like that. And I think that's one of the things I've looked at that a lot lately, because I've seen different ways to do the toilet shower combo
just
that aren't as invasive. Yeah, well, as simple as that, which is the people that don't plan, they just shit in a bucket in the corner and dump it out whenever they get to a rest stop. But there are ways that I've seen now that are easier to put that toilet in the van and not have it be, hey, come here, have dinner, sit on my toilet.
Right.
Conceal it a little bit. The planning it out thing is just, we want to get I've seen where you can rent converted Sprinters and shit.
Okay.
So I've found those. So we're definitely going to get a couple of those, and there are companies that rent them for, they're built to sustain you for a weekend versus, some of them are built to just live in completely. So I don't want to, you can spend $100,000 building out a van if you want to, but I don't want to spend $100,000.
No,
nor do I have it to spend. But
but if you sell the house,
yeah, I mean, but I still don't. I just think that there are certain things when you're living that life that you don't need that some people get. I don't know that I necessarily want to try to find a way to put a TV in there. There are people that do.
right?
But there's a couple that I follow on YouTube, and actually, it's funny you asked about YouTube earlier, and I don't really watch YouTube. My fucking history on YouTube is nothing but van builds. It's funny. Just people talking about vans. That's how ate up I am with it. But there's one couple that has two 21.5-inch iMacs on a desk, but they're graphic designers and IT people. They
Digital
both
nomads.
have full-time jobs that they need the bigger screen to work on. And and one of their other points is, yeah, it's probably overkill. We could probably do it with a MacBook or something, but we also didn't run out and buy these iMacs for this. This is what we used at home when we had our house.
Yeah.
So we saved the money and just moved these in, which I like but I have I'm using a MacBook Air. So I'm not, I'm not going to need I'm not going to have that problem. My big obstacle now is trying to replace income.
Yeah.
And I want to be debt free mostly before we even really start, because I don't want to finance the van. I would like to buy I'll buy a used one. That's fine. I've pretty much talked myself out of buying a brand new van, because the brand new van I want is $45,000, and that's literally bare bones as it gets. That's just what it costs. And a used van in similar, with less than 60,000 in the exact configuration I want is $22,000. So I'm going to buy a used van, but I would like to not finance it. I'd like to own it.
Right.
I would like to not finance all of the things in it.
Right.
But solar systems are, you can spend fucking $1,000. You can spend fucking $10,000 on solar or more. Just depends on what you want to do and how long you want to be off grid effectively.
Right.
So there's a lot to consider. So that's why we're going to rent the campers and we'll try to find some of the converted sprinters and shit to check out.
One of the guys I grew up with has the same plan.
Yeah.
He's a contractor, I guess. Mm-hmm. So he works for a company that does a lot of contract work with the U.S. government, or at least that's what he did last I knew.
Yeah.
And he ended up buying, a couple properties and stuff like that. And, he's running those. But him and his wife and his kid bought a school bus.
Yeah.
And they're converting a school bus, which seems to be fairly common.
It is pretty common.
But he's going to get a remote job because he works in, he does, he teaches, so all the guys that run communications in the Army, the Signal Corps guys, last I knew, he was teaching those people and those instructors as a civilian.
Yeah.
So he has a large IT background and has since 2000, 2001. So he's going to transition into a work from home style or work remote job. Yep. And the wife isn't working, so they can just have the bus and go wherever, work wherever, so long as he's got cell service. Well,
and there's and they're a few $100, but one thing I was looking at for that is there's signal boosters, and there's bullshit signal boosters that you can get on eBay that don't actually work, but there's Wemo is the company, I guess. They're the only one that makes one that actually works. And they're they're $300 or $400, and people buy those and from the few videos I've watched, they're we've worked in the middle of deserts.
Wow.
Because if we can get just a smidge of signal with our provider, the Wemo makes up the difference and gets us back to where we need to. And I don't know how, I didn't look into it or whatever, but so there are options that to be able to do that. It's just my field doesn't allow itself to working remotely yet. I mean, my field is probably still a few years from that. So I will have to find another way to do it. And it would be cool if it was a podcast or multiple podcasts, or I've looked at selling stuff on eBay, and I've looked at eventually getting into the Amazon thing. There's a lot to it, so I'm I'm open to ideas. There's I know there's a bunch of different ways to do it, and I would as soon as I can replace one income from having to physically work for somebody, it'll open up a lot of possibilities.
That's kind of when the timeline starts.
That's also part of getting debt free too. When we get down to just a mortgage or something, it's not and we were lucky enough to not have to buy the house, but we still took out the mortgage to be able to remodel it and get it up to code and standard, and
right.
So but we have a manageable mortgage. It's not like I'm one of these people out there with a fucking $1,800 mortgage. Like, that shit's insane to me.
One of the houses that I went to go look at is in a very large, very, very nice subdivision with a private golf course and everything. The homeowners association fee is like $800 and change a month.
Sweet Jesus.
A month.
Goddamn. My mom lives in what was a fairly affluent area before they built other more affluent areas around it. And even her homeowner's fee is only, and there's no golf course, but there's like community pool and tennis courts.
Right.
And like there's stuff that they maintain, but even hers is only like, I think it's like $200 or $300 a quarter. Like it's not cheap, but it's still like not $800 a month. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That would be a deal breaker for me, even if I had the money to buy said house. Like,
I mean, it covers quote unquote everything type deal.
Like lawn service and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a little different.
It's not, that's not enough.
No.
I need,
I paid $25 a week to have my mom's yard mowed.
Right. So. But it's interesting, and it's a very nice community, and the houses are surprisingly affordable.
Yeah.
As far as square footage, how nice the neighborhood is, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But they do have multiple community pools, and access to the golf course is part of living there. And there was, what's the real nice golf course here in Orlando?
Bay Hill. Bay Hill's the nicest in Orlando.
No, the one that's on like the PGA Tour.
Bay Hill.
Okay.
That's the one Arnold Palmer built and designed.
Okay. I went and looked at a house down there too. The guy who bought the house has never lived in it, has never done anything with it. Like, he literally bought it and it sits because living in the neighborhood gives him access to the golf course.
It does. Without having to pay the
membership
fees that are. So I mentioned earlier that I worked in a lot of hotels in the iDrive area, and I didn't work for the hotels directly. I worked for an outside company that night audited.
Right.
So my company had like right before 9/11, we had 17 accounts throughout Kissimmee, Orlando.
Right.
One account that we had, the very first account the owner got, and the one that he kept until he sold it off to somebody, like sold the business off because it was all that was left, was Bay Hill, to do the audit at their lodge. And in Bay Hill, I had a conversation the nights I worked there, at least 2 or 3 times. Arnold Palmer, he would come through at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, before anybody was really up and opening. And he would get coffee, and he would stop and he would bullshit for a few minutes, and then he would hit the course so he could start at sunup to play a round of golf when he was in town. Their Christmas party was one of the big prizes at their Christmas party every year was a all expenses paid trip to play golf with Arnold Palmer at one of the courses he had somewhere else in the country, not at Bay Hill. So you like private jet with him.
That's kind of neat.
To the course, but they took real good care of their employees. They fed everybody every day. They paid very well. But because they're the neighborhood they are and the image they're trying to maintain, I didn't necessarily fit what they wanted physically. And while they wouldn't say that, that was just kind of, what it is. So like, I wasn't even like really allowed to work there. Like it was I could go in like last minute and help out. So I never like full-time stayed there. But like there's some wild shit golfers are into that I've seen go on in that place that I don't want to get into because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But man, golfers are a different breed of athlete. They do some wild shit.
That's such a funny term to use as well.
Yeah. An athlete and golfer.
Yeah. I mean, because there's no specific shape for a golfer to be in. And then, don't
Tell
get me
that
wrong.
to John Daly.
I know our buddy Bobby got all defensive when I said it's not athletes in the common sense of the word, and
it's not.
And he's like, oh, you go out and you play 18 holes and see if you're not sore the next day. And I'm like, well, of course I'm using muscles I'm not normally using. I'm doing anything. Yeah. I mean, if you tell me to buff bolts on a buffing wheel for 10 hours,
I'm gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's something you're not used to doing. But it's kind of like bowling. There's obviously a skill set that goes with it. You obviously are using some of your physical ability, but there's not a standard you have to be in this good of shape to play this sport.
So, like, Major League Baseball players are a good example. Most Major League Baseball players are fairly fit. There are a few, as they get older, that will put on some weight. But, like, the only, in my head, and I'm sure the 3 listeners we have will not know who I'm talking about.
We have 3 listeners already?
Probably. Well, I sent it to 3 people that said they were going to listen, so that's 3.
1 in 10.
I'm just counting on it. I know 1 did, so. But like Bartolo Colon has never been physically fit. He's a pitcher, so he's not hitting. He's not, he's actually, I think he's hit more than 1 home run. But regardless, like, Bartolo Colon is the exception to the rule. Golf doesn't have that exception. Like, golf, there is a vast cornucopia of guys with different physical abilities. Mm-hmm. Like, so you're right in saying that it's not, like, most Major League Baseball players are fit in a specific way. Most NFL players are fit in a specific way. Even if it's down to position, most of your linemen are fit a specific way.
And they're typically within a certain range of height, a certain range of weight.
Yep. A certain range of speed.
Yeah.
And baseball has that too. Most pitchers are built the same way. Most of them are tall and lanky. There are exceptions to some extent, but not a lot.
Hockey is the same way. Like, everyone, I have a friend who still swears up and down hockey is the least skilled sport of a professional athlete, and I think he's nuts.
That's ridiculous.
But, the thing that all those guys have in common is they're typically about the toughest people on the planet.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even soccer has a typical build because you're going to be running so much. You're not going to be my build.
No.
Fat, by the
I'm
way.
not. I'm not. I fucking hate soccer so much.
It's the world's most popular sport.
Soccer here in America, soccer is the sport you pick your 11-year-old daughter up from. That's it. That's all there is to it. I'd rather watch paint dry than watch soccer.
I have a theory about why soccer is so popular.
Why is that?
Because, for the same reason that skiing, like snowtime skiing, is not popular in poorer areas.
Okay.
It takes a lot more money to go do it. It takes a lot more equipment to go do it.
Yeah.
Poor people, myself included, didn't have access to skiing because it's...
Even water skiing is expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Soccer,
mostly.
Soccer is the cheapest sport to play. You literally need to be able to identify something as that's where the goal is, and you need a ball.
Yeah.
I mean...
Sure. I think basketball is like that to an extent, because and I'm sure everybody's seen videos of people playing basketball with a fucking milk crate on a pole in third world countries, and baseball has that too. You at the end of the day, while it's nice to have a glove, you don't necessarily need one, especially in the small, in the younger leagues. You can get started with a fucking stick and a ball.
Yeah, that's why it's popular through a lot of Central American stuff too.
Yeah, so some of my favorite players came from the Central Americas.
Oh yeah? I don't know enough about who plays, who doesn't.
Yeah.
I know the general gist of baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm probably a little bit further up than that, but
I don't know. Your basic opinion of baseball is it's just a couple assholes playing pitch and catch.
Or no, pitch and catch.
Yeah, whatever.
What are you, European now?
Yeah, maybe.
The pitch for cricket? No, it's a very long game of catch that's occasionally interrupted by some asshole with a stick.
That makes me laugh, and I don't disagree with it. I played baseball most of my childhood, so I have a different opinion of the game, but I don't disagree with that at all. I think it's very hysterical.
I played baseball not at any competitive level or anything, but like my dad played baseball, my sister played softball, and
They were actually good.
Yeah, my sister actually at one point considered getting back into it and trying out for the Olympic team.
Yeah. Well, and her husband he still played. Well, I don't know. I'm sure not now that they're where they are, but I know when they were here in the States, he played in a men's wood bat league.
Yeah,
which is like most of the guys from my experience that play in the adult wood bat baseball leagues probably should be in the majors in some form or fashion, if not at least in a minor league club. Like, they usually have the skills to make it on a minor league team.
Well, I know my brother-in-law played baseball through high school, and anytime they're stationed anywhere that there's some sort of rec stuff, like he'll play in the Marine Corps, and then he'll also play on a rec team. And I think when they were in Chicago, because baseball's huge in that portion of the country, like every park has baseball fields.
Yeah, it's because it's Field of Dreams.
The Corn.
Yep.
But he would play. I think when they were in Chicago, he played on like 2 or 3
I
teams,
remember.
and then my sister played on. Like he played.
Yep.
They played slow pitch softball, and he was on that team with her.
Yep.
And then he also played on like a baseball team or two, and his whole week was filled with time to go play ball.
In our buddy Destry, that's when he was here. He played softball, and he played on competitive teams that went to like championships, and
really,
like it's probably the thing I miss, especially now that I have lost the weight that I've lost. Because he'd always invite me out to play, like especially when we lived, both in Orlando,
right.
and I was more available, and like he'd always throw me on one of his rec teams or whatever. Like if he needed some, I was never on like one of the serious teams. The one time he made the mistake of putting me on a serious team, I pitched us out of the tournament in the first game. So it was also his fault because he got me shit-faced drunk the night before, because the night before was my birthday, and I still tell him to this day, and I will tell you, the pitcher's mound and home plate are directly in front of each other. There is no deviation. It is a straight line. As far as I was fucking concerned that morning when I was pitching, home plate was about 4 inches to the right, because everything looked sideways to me. I was still shit-faced drunk the next morning.
It's clearly his fault that you overindulged.
It was my birthday. He got me shit-faced.
Oh, okay.
But he, that's one of the things I miss most selfishly about him not living locally anymore, is like now that I'm more active and I've lost the weight, I'm so much more interested in playing softball, and I just don't know enough people that are free. You need a minimum of 10 people to even step foot on the field, or 9 technically.
Well, you don't have to make your own team. You can find people that are playing, can't you?
Not up here. There's not. Up here, the teams are typically already filled. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a full team yourself, like I've called the county and the city and given them my info, because they'll take names of people that want to play but don't have a team, and I three seasons in a row, and I just don't get a call.
That's weird, because when I worked the bar in town over here, we sponsored a team. Yeah. So I know that they play.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, maybe that was a kickball team.
No, but even then, like in Orlando, they have leagues that they just sign you up as an individual player and put everybody together once they get everything set up, and you can join as a full team too.
Right.
But they're not sponsored by like they're private companies that do them.
Right.
But they don't have that up here, and selfishly I would love for him to come back so that I could fucking play softball, at least a night a week.
I know you and I had talked about it when we were roommates at one point. You were talking about trying to start a team in the area, and
it just, you need, if I'm honest, you need 12 people, because at least 3 people are not going to show up every week.
Yeah.
So with 12 people that are willing to put the money into play, because it's $400 or $500 for a team, not include, that's what you pay to the league.
Right.
It doesn't include having to have a matching jersey
and bats and gloves, and because you're going to spend $100 on a glove, right?
No, you can absolutely. You can spend $200 or $300 on a glove.
Yeah, that glove better catch the ball itself.
You can spend $600 or $700 on a bat. But you can pick up if you know what you're doing, and there's a bunch of like softball groups that you can buy from, like they're on like Facebook. You can pick up a used bat for $40 or $50. You can go pick up a new glove at fucking any of the sporting, like Dick's or whatever, for $30 or $40. It'll get you by. Like I still have my glove, and I paid 10 years ago. I paid $85 for it. So
I always liked using the catcher's mitt for whatever. Like
I was a catcher through most of Little League. Was probably the main position I played.
You're built as a catcher.
Yeah.
You have a lot of stopping area.
It also explains why when I stand up now from like a crouched position, you can hear fibers in my right knee like crunching. Like
they didn't have knee savers.
No,
when we were that age.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. I had my own full equipment. So like I had my own knee pads, my own chest protector, my own face mask.
No, knee savers, the wedge that goes on the back of your leg where your calf is, and it's a foam wedge, but it's fairly firm, and it's so that when you squat down, it limits your range of motion, so you're not bending your knees too far.
They definitely didn't have that.
My sister, she played several positions on the team, but at one point when she was catching fairly regularly, she ended up buying a set of those.
Yeah, I wish they would have had that. That would have been awesome.
It's really bad for your knees to go that far.
Oh, I'm very aware. Well, that was why I, like most catchers, eventually graduated to first base. So,
well, that's like so if you're at the gym and you're doing squats, I've had days when I was going all the time, and like where leg day ended up being you're either passing out or you're vomiting, and you always want to go heavyweight, but I would change it up, and on some leg days I'd keep the weight a lot lighter, and go
deeper,
as deep as I could, to like
I do
your
that
asses
now.
on your
That's
heels.
actually I regressed and went back to that.
Don't do that. Once you get past 90 degrees in your legs, which is essentially seating, you're like tripling the pressure in your knees, so you can very easily blow something up.
I should rephrase. I don't mean that I like ass to grass.
Okay.
Like I was up to I think like 125-ish on my squats, up from fucking nothing.
Right.
But I went back to like sticking around to like 55, 60 pounds, and I go 90 and will pause for a second and then come back up.
Do you put like the weight bench there and you sit and then come back up?
I did. That's how I don't now, because I left the good gym that I was at because it was twice the distance, twice the price, and I didn't feel like I was getting twice the workout. So I just I cut my ties there and went back to
the
old
fitness center,
the old PF, the Purple Place, the Purple Palace. And they don't. I'm not in there breaking their typical rules. So I don't, but I need to start pulling the bench in. When I was at the other, they had an actual squat rack. I would pull the bench in and do like box squats or whatever, just to try to keep the form,
right?
Because I was actually hurting my back because I was not doing them right. Like I was having to go to the chiropractor like twice a month instead of my normal once a month.
Yeah, if you're injuring yourself.
And she was like, so what do you keep doing to do this? And I'm like, I think it's my squats. And she's like, yeah, you should probably drop the weight and focus on doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about.
Now that I'm old,
and
I'm not worried about records or personal records or anything like that, and I know I'm not going to outlift everybody, I'm definitely comfortable putting an upper limit on how much weight I'm going to lift. Will I try and go back to deadlifting at some point and try and go as heavy as I can? Probably. Yeah. But if all I ever do is get to 405 and I can deadlift 405 for 10 reps or whatever, I'm fine with that. I don't.
Yeah. Well, it's more impressive to me to watch somebody deadlift, even a lower weight. Like, I would rather watch you deadlift 250 10 times than to watch you deadlift 500 or 600 pounds once. Like, it's cool, but at the same time, it says more to me that you can do less weight more times. I've never been impressed by the whole 1 rep max thing.
I mean, I think it's cool to watch powerlifting. It's what I want to watch in the Olympics when they come on.
Yeah.
And I
just want to watch wrestling.
Wrestling.
Men's wrestling.
But, and my father-in-law is a world record holder in powerlifting for his age and weight.
Yeah.
The other 2 guys that I was lifting weights with, the 4 of us would lift. The lightest weight one holds the record for his weight in any age range for bench press, squat, and deadlift and combined. And he broke all 4 records at the same event. But now he's got a bunch of back issues and stuff because I'm going to go out there and I'm going to break myself, and it is what it is. And his older brother is the guy that we were lifting with, and he's been a power lifter for like 20 years now. And that's what his life is. His wife let him knock down the living room wall and to open up one of the bedrooms. Yeah. And the whole living room, as soon as you walk in the house, it's like, all right, here's the rack, and
that's insane.
Yeah. And there's the leg press machine, and here's the cable machine.
Does he want a Walmart Bowflex knockoff?
No.
I'd like to get that out of my house.
I ended up giving him the big loader tire that we had.
Oh, okay. If any of our listeners want a Walmart knockoff Bowflex, I will meet you somewhere with it.
It's a no flex.
Yeah, because it's a no flex right now. It's really just every time I walk out into the room that it's in, it's got sheets or a blanket or something on it.
But yeah, when I was a younger guy, it's like how many 45-pound plates are on each side of the bar?
Yeah.
And it's like to get to 225, you're like, man, that's awesome. That's 2 plates. And then it's like, but now I got to get to 315. And then you get to 315 and you're like, well, now I got to get to 405.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I 1 rep to like 365 on a flat bench. Yeah. And then we put 405 on there just to have me hold it like as a lockout. And I'm like, that's fucking heavy. Yeah. And it's so easy to injure yourself. And it is when you're doing it wrong anyway. Mm-hmm. I don't feel the need to get to a 405 number. Like it's so much stress on your joints. I got to the point where we would do a bench day and then I'd put 225 on there at the end of the day and see how many reps I could do.
Yeah.
And watching guys rep 225 or 315 is just it's impressive to me, especially like when you see guys, it's like they rep 225 27 times.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
And they're exploding off their chest all 27 times. Like it's not, like you, like me when I get to 20 reps with the bar and I'm like, they're exploding off their chest every time.
The last two are a little bit of a struggle, but I was like, I wonder, and I never did it at the peak performance time on a bench day. I always kind of did it at the end. Yeah. And I think I got to like 17 or 19 reps at one point. I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It could have been just the bar, like you're saying, and it's like I can't go anymore.
Yeah, no, it's hard. Yeah. Shit, man, we've covered the whole gamut today. We got cars.
I don't think we even got into any of the topics that we wrote down.
We did not. We didn't touch a single one of them. You fucking started talking about guns, and we all just ran off downhill from there.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's okay. I actually really enjoyed it. We got some good stuff going on.
It's a good thing that we dodged the hard to swallow section this week.
Yeah, you know what's weird about that is like it's hard to envision with no video to go with it.
I don't know. When you ate the spicy peanut.
Yeah, because I went into immediate fucking
gastrointestinal distress.
Jesus.
Well, you started hiccuping and then you go, fuck you, and you walked off.
Yeah. That was bad times. Because at some point I do want to bring like a YouTube aspect to it and kind of record, like a video version of it. We probably bring it back when we do that. Oh, that way people can see.
We did touch on van life.
Oh, there we go. Look at that shit.
So we covered, we did the intro.
Yeah. And sort of. I completely forgot to plug all the social media stuff. So it'll be in the show notes. I promise.
We covered van life. Yeah. We haven't even talked about the fact we're in 2020.
No.
Haven't done the year in review. Haven't done crazy predictions.
That'll have to be next week.
Yeah. Didn't talk about Brian the Sheepdog.
Damn it. We got to talk about that. I want to talk about that.
It's on there. Didn't talk about any of the Christmas stuff, like good presents and bad presents.
No, nothing.
Man,
ain't that just about some bullshit?
Didn't cover anything. I did, however, for Christmas get some interesting alcohol.
Yeah.
So the big trend of moonshine, air quotes, but they're selling it in stores, so it clearly is being taxed appropriately. Yeah. We were walking around the Total Wine and More. And there's a lady who's like, "Hey, have some free booze. Let me take a picture to show that you're actually here looking at it." And we actually liked the sample. We bought it. So it's the moonshine, as I said, and it's from the guy who had the Discovery Channel, Diggers or something. I don't know. It's Moonshiner's show.
Yeah.
Actually started it just...
There was a couple of those guys that started a legit brand.
Oh, it said Diggers. I don't know. Anyway.
Digger is... Because I watched the first couple seasons of Moonshiners. I believe the Diggers guys were proteges of Popcorn Sutton.
I believe you.
And there's a couple of the recipes they have are from Popcorn Sutton directly.
Well, they had a peanut butter and jelly moonshine, which was very interesting. Yeah. We ended up buying the hazelnut, and Ashley put it in, like she's got peach cobbler tea. Yeah. She put a little bit of the hazelnut in the peach cobbler tea.
Yeah,
that's a dangerous situation.
Nice.
But
should bring that next week, and then we'll get to recording.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley, the intention is to take a little bit of time off drinking. I think I had told you that we, between traveling to DC and then to China and the holidays, and we've effectively drank every single day, whether it's wine or beer or booze or whatever, since like the 22nd of November.
Nice.
So that's, it'll almost 2 months solid.
Yeah.
So we probably need to give the cirrhosis a little chill.
I like that. Well, all right. Well, since I didn't touch on it earlier, we've got social media, and we've got the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook. All of those are at nothinginmodpod. You can send us an email, nothinginmoderationpod@gmail.com. And you can check us out on the internets at nothinginmoderationpod.com. Shoot us an email if you got some topic ideas or some comments or concerns.
Or if you want me to go on a weekly political rant.
Yeah, you can do that too. I don't want that. I do want to do a spin-off political show once we get this one like smooth sailing and down pat and get our feet below us on this whole podcasting deal. I do want to do a spin-off show or two. I think the wife and I are going to do one.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So
to be in the funnier one.
Hopefully. She's way funnier than you are. I know that for a fact.
And we talked about that too. It's because our wives and our lives are smarter than we are.
Yeah.
And they don't just say everything they think.
Yeah.
They actually say the shit that they know is funny.
Yeah.
Whereas
they're way more calculated.
Yeah.
Instead of us just throwing shit at the wall hoping something sticks.
And walking around here swinging a cat by its tail.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, have a good week. We'll catch up with you guys next week. Don't do anything crazy. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, kids. You've reached the end of the podcast. That's it. There's nothing more here. Just dead air and this closing statement. We appreciate your diligence, though. Now go back about your day and come back for the next show. Or listen again. In fact, that sounds like a better plan. Grab another show. That's what I'm doing right now. Whoever listens the most wins. You don't really win anything, really. Just the memories of better times, which is winning in my book. All right, well, this is the actual end. Hand banana.